Before the lawsuits, before the scandals, Jesse James was just a kid with a welding torch. Born in Long Beach, California in 1969, he grew up obsessed with muscle cars, motorcycles, and everything loud. He wasn't groomed by corporate sponsors or handed a TV contract. He earned every inch of his empire with grease-stained hands and a rebellious streak a mile wide. By the early 90s, he was working as a bodyguard for rock bands like Slayer and Danzig. But it wasn't body slams and backstage brawls that would define his legacy. It was what he built when no one was watching. In 1992, he opened West Coast Choppers out of his mom's garage. It started small, fabricating custom parts, doing odd jobs, and building bikes one piece at a time. But Jesse had a gift, not just for craftsmanship, but for style. His bikes weren't just machines. They were statements: raw metal, minimalist design, brutal power. And he didn't care if they were street legal. He cared if they were unforgettable. Soon, his Long Beach shop became a pilgrimage site for gearheads, celebrities, and rebels alike. Everyone from Shaquille O'Neal to Keanu Reeves wanted a Jesse James original. Television came calling in the early 2000s. Motorcycle Mania, and later Monster Garage, turned Jesse into a household name, but he never softened his image. No suits, no scripts, just fire, steel, and the mantra. He became the face of outlaw fabrication. While Orange County Choppers leaned into theatrics, Jesse leaned into authenticity. But success came with a price. Fame, pressure, expectations. And when celebrities started treating his shop like a design boutique instead of a forge, something cracked. Jesse James wasn't building for fun anymore. He was building under scrutiny. And that's when things started to go sideways. The identity of the client was never officially confirmed, but whispers in the custom bike world pointed to someone big. An actor, athlete, or rock star with deep pockets and an even deeper ego. They came to Jesse James not just for a motorcycle, but for a legacy piece. Something that screamed power, status, and rebellion. A chopper that could sit beside million-dollar art and still steal the room. For Jesse, it wasn't an unusual request. He'd done it all before. Exclusive builds for A-listers, corporate execs, even royalty. But this particular client came with more than just money. They came with a vision. The story goes that the celebrity wanted a full custom job. Hand-built frame, proprietary components, rare metal finishes, and an engine setup that pushed limits. It would be a six-figure project from the start, possibly more depending on the details. The meetings were friendly at first. Contracts were drawn, deposits were paid, sketches were reviewed. Both parties seemed aligned. The media didn't know about it yet, and Jesse's crew figured it would be just another badass chopper for the books. But insiders say the vibe changed quickly. The client allegedly began sending over last-minute design tweaks, color swaps, engraving ideas, wheel changes. Not unusual, until it became constant. Meanwhile, Jesse, a notorious perfectionist, reportedly scrapped parts mid-build because they didn't meet his vision of quality. Two creative forces, both stubborn, both used to getting their way. It was a collision waiting to happen. On paper, the contract was solid. The client would provide a deposit up front. Jesse's team would deliver the bike within a 9 to 12-month time frame, and both sides agreed on creative checkpoints, mock-ups, progress photos, and in-person consultations. But things are never simple in custom fabrication, especially when you mix celebrity demands with handcrafted machines. As early fabrication began, Jesse's crew ran into sourcing issues. Specific parts requested by the client had to be custom machined or imported. One exotic metal supplier backed out. A key engraver got sick. Jesse reportedly pushed timelines back, but didn't always update the client. Meanwhile, the celebrity, accustomed to red carpet service, grew impatient. Their team reached out frequently, and according to shop insiders, some of those emails bordered on threatening. Still, Jesse pressed on, refusing to compromise on the build. Eventually, communication broke down. The client accused Jesse of ignoring deadlines and blowing past budget estimates. Jesse's side said the constant design changes were the reason everything got delayed. At one point, the client allegedly requested to simplify the bike to get it done faster. But Jesse refused. In his words, "I don't simplify art for people who don't get it." That's when talk of lawyers started. 12 months came and went. Then 15. Then 18. The custom chopper was still not done. The client, who had kept things quiet publicly, now began showing signs of frustration behind the scenes. One assistant allegedly told Jesse's staff that their boss was done playing nice. Meanwhile, Jesse maintained his stance. True customs take time, especially ones this ambitious, especially when every detail was being second-guessed. Phone calls turned to legal threats. Jesse stopped responding directly, routing everything through assistants or lawyers. Tension bled into the build shop, where workers reportedly clashed over whether to prioritize the celebrity's project or move on to other paying customers. Some claimed the bike sat half-finished for weeks. An unfinished frame, parts boxed in storage, blueprints pinned to a wall like a ghost project. Then came the final straw. A letter, drafted by the celebrity's legal team, accusing Jesse of breach of contract. The demands were clear: deliver the completed bike within 30 days or return the full deposit, plus damages for breach of contract, including lost appearances and emotional distress. "Jesse," he laughed. "Tell them to come build it themselves," he allegedly told a friend. But the laughter didn't last. What came next was a full-blown legal war. It started as a whisper in the industry, an offhand comment on a podcast, a cryptic social media post, a fan question met with awkward silence. But then it exploded. TMZ first broke the story. Jesse James, Outlaw builder and TV icon, was being sued by a celebrity client over a custom chopper that never saw the light of day. Court documents filed in Los Angeles County showed a breach of contract suit seeking over $200,000 in damages. The accusations were serious: failure to deliver the motorcycle, missed contractual deadlines, and an alleged refusal to return the client's deposit. The plaintiff's name was initially redacted, but insider chatter pointed toward a well-known musician, someone with deep ties to the automotive world and a reputation for high-end taste. The filing painted a picture of a once excited customer who, over time, became frustrated and financially wounded. It claimed Jesse's team had ignored agreed-upon deadlines, gone silent for weeks, and ultimately delivered nothing more than a partially welded frame and vague excuses. Legal analysts weighed in, saying that while custom builders often work outside rigid timelines, the existence of a formal contract made Jesse vulnerable. Worse, the suit opened the door to public scrutiny, not just of this project, but of how Jesse handled business in general. Was this a one-time misunderstanding, or a sign that fame had dulled his legendary precision? Forums exploded. Reddit threads dissected every past customer experience. YouTube creators ran with the headline, "Jesse James screws celebrity client?" As the news circulated, Jesse's brand, built on rebellion and craftsmanship, suddenly faced a challenge not from the garage, but from the gavel. Jesse James isn't the type to roll over, especially not when his name is on the line. Days after the lawsuit made headlines, Jesse broke his silence in classic fashion. not through a polished PR statement, but a raw Instagram video shot from his shop. Standing next to a half-built frame, welding gloves still on, he addressed his followers directly. "Look," he began, "when you're building something from scratch, true custom, not catalog crap, it takes time. If you can't handle that, maybe you're not cut out for this world." He never named the client, but his tone made it clear. He saw the lawsuit not as justice, but as betrayal. "Some people think their money entitles them to control every inch of the process," Jesse continued. "But this ain't fast food. You don't get to supersize your bike because you're famous." He described the lawsuit as a temper tantrum dressed up in legalese, accusing the client of adding demands mid-build, halting progress, and ignoring the realities of hand-built machines. Jesse's defenders rallied behind him. His core fan base, bikers, builders, and custom culture diehards, flooded the comments with support. "This is why we love you, Jesse," one wrote. "You don't fake it for the cameras." But not everyone was convinced. Some pointed out that even if the client was difficult, a contract is a contract. Others wondered if Jesse's rise to icon status had made him too untouchable, too quick to dismiss criticism. Whether defiant or defensive, Jesse's response was pure him, unfiltered, unapologetic, and unwilling to compromise. But the firestorm had been lit, and now both sides were burning. For all the legal drama, the heart of the matter was supposed to be a bike. And not just any bike. This was going to be a rolling piece of metal art, a chopper forged from titanium, chrome, and attitude. Though Jesse never released official photos, leaked images soon surfaced on niche forums and Instagram accounts tied to former employees. Even unfinished, the machine was breathtaking. A hand-engraved tank featuring what looked like Norse mythology themes, a custom single-sided swing arm, and inverted forks milled from billet aluminum. The frame was stretched to perfection, and the early sketches showed radical geometry that blended old-school chopper lines with modern cafe racer aggression. People weren't just angry about a missed deadline. They were mourning a masterpiece that might never be finished. The bike, unnamed in the lawsuit, but described as radical in design and elite in scope, appeared to be Jesse pushing the envelope of what a celebrity chopper could be. Rumors swirled that parts for the build came from aerospace suppliers, and that Jesse had actually machined some components himself from scratch. No CNC, just old-school skill. Even critics of Jesse's delay admitted the vision was stunning. "If that bike ever sees daylight," one commenter wrote, "it'll make every showroom piece look like a tricycle." But therein lay the tragedy. The lawsuit froze everything. The bike sat idle in Jesse's workshop, a testament to both ambition and animosity. What was meant to be a rolling monument became a symbol of what happens when money, ego, and expectations collide. The bike was supposed to roar. Instead, it gathered dust, silent, unfinished, and caught in a war neither wrench nor wheel could fix. As the lawsuit made headlines, the custom motorcycle world found itself in a full-blown identity crisis. On one side were the builders, the artists, the craftsmen, the gearheads who believed that true custom work couldn't be rushed. On the other side were the clients, especially the celebrity types, who felt that when you pay six figures for a one-of-one bike, you're not just buying a machine, you're buying a promise. Forums lit up. Reddit threads went viral. Podcasts debated the topic endlessly. Should a visionary like Jesse James be forced to meet deadlines if the art isn't ready? Or is a contract, especially when that contract involves hundreds of thousands of dollars? Old-school builders defended Jesse. "You can't put genius on a timer," one said. "He builds when the metal tells him it's ready." Others weren't so forgiving. "It's not about the bike anymore, said one ex-client anonymously. "It's about respect. If you say it'll be done in a year, and we're at 30 months with no call, that's not art, that's arrogance." This divide wasn't new, but the lawsuit cracked it wide open. For years, the custom community operated on handshake deals and mutual respect. But celebrity clients brought contracts, lawyers, and branding expectations. And suddenly, Jesse's cowboy way of doing things, silent progress, no updates, trust me, I got this, didn't mesh with millionaire clients used to daily deliverables and marketing calendars. The result was a fractured fan base. Some doubled down on Jesse's authenticity. Others started to whisper, maybe the Outlaw had gotten too big, too busy, too untouchable. The Jesse James, who once welded under flickering shop lights with zero budget, was now running a global brand. And with fame came friction. The custom culture wasn't just about bikes anymore, it was about business. And business, unlike artistry, has rules. As the buzz reached fever pitch, the expected next step, an explosive courtroom showdown, never happened. Instead, silence. Then, quietly and without comment, the lawsuit vanished from the public docket. Insiders confirmed what many suspected. A private settlement had been reached. No press conference, no final bike delivery, and reportedly, no return of funds. Just two high-powered entities choosing to walk away before the fire spread any further. But the damage had been done. Jesse James, who once seemed invincible behind a welding mask and roaring engine, was suddenly more human. Flawed. Fallible. His social media went dark. No new builds were posted for months. West Coast Chopper's feed slowed to a crawl. For a man who once courted the spotlight with burnouts and bravado, this withdrawal spoke volumes. Some believe Jesse retreated to focus purely on craft again, tired of drama and hungry to reconnect with the machines themselves. Others say it was a calculated PR move, a timeout to let the storm pass. Regardless, the silence screamed. Fans noticed. So did clients. Rumors swirled that several high-profile builds were quietly canceled or postponed. New requests were screened more heavily, according to one former employee. The shop's open-door policy shifted. Where once Jesse welcomed camera crews and walked fans through projects, now the garage was closed. Security reportedly tightened, and behind those gates, the legend recalibrated. Wounded, perhaps, but not broken. The fallout didn't destroy Jesse's brand, but it altered it. The Outlaw image, once a badge of honor, now carried a shadow. What happens when rebellion collides with responsibility? For decades, Jesse James stood as a symbol of unfiltered craftsmanship. He didn't build bikes for fame. He built them for the thrill, the challenge, the chase of perfection. But now, with a lawsuit etched into his story and the scars of public fallout still fresh, fans and critics alike asked, what does this mean for the legend? To some, the answer is clear. This was a stumble, not a fall. Jesse remains a visionary, a builder's builder. No legal battle could erase the bikes he's birthed, the culture he's shaped, but others saw a different narrative unfolding. They wondered if the very thing that made Jesse great, his refusal to compromise, was now the anchor holding him back. Could an outlaw still survive in a world demanding structure, updates, and professionalism? Legacy isn't just about what you create. It's about how you endure. Jesse James will likely never address the lawsuit again. That's his style. But the echoes remain. In every build that's delayed, in every client who asks for a timeline, in every fan who wonders why the garage door stays closed a little longer these days. Still, there's a strange beauty in it all. The rebel who welded outside the rules now faces the ultimate test. Not from a competitor, but from time. And in that test, the truth remains. Jesse James isn't just a builder. He's a story. And like all good stories, the scars don't weaken the legend. They define it.